Hello and welcome to the Vibe Union podcast, chatting with Melbourne musicians, creatives, and keeping an eye on the scene. I am your host for today, Rhath. Now, before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that we are recording on today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. Sovereignty was never ceded. These are stolen lands that we live and work on. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Today, we have a special guest, for there is an event coming up on June 11th, which is one hell of a lineup. I want to say there's probably about 15, maybe more artists on the lineup. It is a true festival. It is called YoungGods Winter Festival, hosted at Mr Boogie Man Bar, and it is hosted by the one and only Ivory Archer. G'day, Ivory. How you going?
Hey, yo. Hey. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Ivory, you are a pillar of community. You bring people together. You shed light on those that are talented, that deserve that light. You raise people up. And so I wanted to jump straight into, with YoungGods, which is a series of events now, and this seems to be a bit of a culmination of effort with this YoungGods Winter Festival.
Sure is.
What is your philosophy behind the way you host these type of events that you run and the type of people that you're getting? What is your goal, drive behind these events?
Well, yeah, definitely the main goal is, bringing back the unity and just bringing, music people all together and sharing, collaborating, sharing with each other and, and individually too, being able to have, opportunities as artists to showcase what we're all about, together and individually. So it's always about the unity. Mm-hmm. That's the main goal. And, and being able to keep, I think, the Melbourne, hip hop culture, of course, rap scene alive. Again, after everything we've been through in the world, which we won't get into, but it's, I feel pretty lucky to have been around the time that I have and make the connections and network with different venue owners, of course, and, know certain people. And, I've always been like, well, why not be able to provide a space for, all the upcoming and rising and, well-established local artists in our hip-hop rap culture, as well as, going off to like the bit of the pop culture, lo-fi vibes, and all artists, Melbourne artist vibes, like all the youth that are out here, doing their thing. So, bringing it all together, and that also gives me an opportunity as well to get in the mix and, do my thing and, So it's pretty cool.
We've spoken before that you've been on the scene a little longer than perhaps some of the younger cats who are coming to these shows. I'd love to then say, what is the defining characteristics, factors that you're seeing in this current scene, this current crop of youngsters that is different to perhaps what you've seen previously? How have you seen things change, evolve, or stayed the same?
There's some things that are kind of the same. Like, at first, when people, when certain music people alike haven't really, had the chance to network or meet or speak to each other, there's always sort of like that, let's be real, like there's a bit of that coldness there. But then once you sort of break the layers down and sort of let yourself, get involved or meet, or perhaps get out of your shell and even get out to a show. And then you're like, oh, this ain't so bad. But like back in the day, like things were a bit more hardcore, It was like you had to be, really dress a certain way. There was an image thing, or you had to be part of a different, it was very, there's still crews and things around, but I think even back then it was way back, it was like very cliquey. And you had to, obviously, if we're going to talk about hip hop and rap, growing up with my brother back then in the scene too, if you didn't really know how to spit bars and you didn't have this type of sound and way, then like it wasn't cool.
Right.
Which I think, which I always found really quite disturbing because, I've always been I love so many different genres of music. So I come from a lot of different backgrounds of music, and definitely hip hop rap was something I grew up on. But, you know, I think a great artist is, you know, able to intertwine different sounds and feels and bring new feels to the scene. So what defines things now, which is great, and the characteristics I do see is just like people, like-minded people with the same sort of, you know, style in music, but still, you know, we are venturing out and really changing things up and, you know, bringing new sound and just being more relatable as well to each other, and I think to the listeners. And and bringing, and it's also about bringing the love, you know, back in there. That's really important because it you know, let's face it, music in general around the world can be quite cutthroat. You know, there are quite cold moments. It's you know, it's a hard gig, but you know, there's always room for, you know, bringing community together and bringing the love in that, and just making each other feel like we can be hardcore and be, you know, do our rap and spit our bars, but there's also let's just be real, like human and you know, bring the love in in everything, and love what we do, you know, and enjoy ourselves, and don't be so like hardcore about it. But you know, there's nothing wrong with like being like that too, but you know.
Well, there's a performative nature. I enjoy the performative kind of battle mindset when on stage, when spitting your bars, even if you're in a freestyle cypher or what have you, and sure, you're ready for combat. Yeah. I can fuck with that when it's performative.
Exactly.
But when it follows you off stage, it is inherently part of your persona, your character.
Exactly.
I'm immediately like, we're not going to get anything done here. If you can speak plainly, you can be serious and professional, but this standoffishness, this coldness, I'm immediately backing away.
Yeah, it's it's everything I'm not, you know. I mean, there's many layers to me as a person, as an artist as well. And of course, like you said, like I come from, you know, a little bit way back as well. But that's the thing, like, I'd like to think too that sometimes I think through my music, or mostly, it's when you're on stage, like I probably show my ego more. It comes through my music, but it's not something that I think, I would definitely say is a big part of my persona. It's definitely not. Like you know, I'm definitely a softie. I'm a bit of a, you know, romantic rebel. I do call myself that. But you know, like I'm firm, but on stage it shows like more like that's where the strength comes in and stuff like that. But off stage and stuff like that, it's like, let's be real, man. Like just, you know, just be chill.
Because it's a good place to explore that. You want to be able to explore that ego, and it also can not trick you, but like it's fake it till you make it. It's like if you can pretend that you're really feeling yourself on stage, and then off stage, in fact, even on stage, maybe behind the persona, we all there's always been part of our minds going, "Fuck, I really hope everyone likes me." Oh, jeez, and you get to explore that, but you explore that that egotistical side on stage.
It's still a real side.
Yeah,
but I think as artists, as creatives, as performers, you know, I always say this too, like we live on a different frequency, you know, and it is it's a frequency that can't be faked. But, you know, but being on stage as well, like it comes with, you know, almost being like there's an act. So, you know, there's no better place to, you know, I think speak through your music and, you know, be that act that you need to be to actually portray, you know, what you really want to say, the message you're trying to get across. But like, you know, off stage and that, like, I think, you know, it's only going to be beneficial to you as an artist, as a person, to definitely, you know, be less hardcore, like, you know, if you're not looking a certain way or talking a certain way or acting a certain way, like it's not going to be cool like that. That stuff, that's sort of, you know, mindset I think has been and gone and should be left there. Like, you know, this is, I
think it still exists, but it definitely does not seem to be the, well, I was actually thinking about talking about the different genres and different styles that can be showcased on the YoungGods stage.
We don't exclude anything.
I think for me, it's more about what's the underlying, I've used the word philosophy again, but I'm going to use it again. The underlying philosophy behind what you're doing rather than the actual sound, rather than the actual personas that you're playing. And a good example for me is has always been Amutha, as someone who
big ups to
dabbles
Rhath.
in the R&B, dabbles in hip hop, dabbles in dance hall. There's dance hall rhythms all over
it's
her
like
stuff.
Galaxy vibes.
It's galaxy vibes.
Yeah,
It's
I
peace
love
and
that.
love, peace and love.
Peace and love.
Reading energies of the room. And there seems to be, I think, from a not an outside perspective, but for me, it looks like there's a philosophy behind her music that is the main driving force, rather than trying to fit into a particular genre, trying to fit into a particular crowd, or fit in a particular.
She's a goddess
end
at
goal.
it.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so that's a great way to put it. And yeah, it's, you know, we're not. YoungGods for me is, it's a collective of people like that can bring so many different feels and vibes, you know, and bringing that all together. And, you know, I love seeing people that love what they do come together in one huge room and just enjoy, watching them enjoy themselves and, you know, unleashing, you know, themselves and
Well, that's a little bit on kind of what you're building now, but let's take it a little bit further back to what brought you here to this point in your life. So first question I've got here is, what is your first memory of creativity in your life?
Well, I remember actually probably being 3 years old and running around in the nightclub that my father was actually gigging at regularly. So what happened was, just really quickly, I was very lucky to, have, you know, gig mum and dad. They were very heavily involved in the music scene locally here in Melbourne. And my father always, you know, he was very close with my mother. They had a beautiful friendship and he loved having her at gigs. So therefore that entailed my mother's waters broke while my father was singing on stage with me. Like her waters broke while she was pregnant with me.
God damn.
So I was basically born into the night scene, you know, so I don't know any better.
Yeah.
Like my first memories of music and, you know, like as a child, like I just always remember people. It was the weekend, you know, it was different, like different times as well. Like you could kind of have your little toddlers running around in, you know, in their cool gear, like, you know, in nightclubs.
Yeah.
So I was, you know, exploring backstage. I was touching microphones and instruments by the age of 3.
Amazing.
You know, so it's a way of life and gig life and just seeing people and always, you know, seeing an audience and having people come together and, you know, and just, having a good time and putting on a show.
So did you take to the stage quite early on then? Did you, or even if it wasn't necessarily on that particular stage, were you trying to perform as a child, like trying to get the adults' attention?
100%. There's actually photographs of me interrupting my father's show. It was so funny because they were there was at one point, like, you know, it was pretty safe and, you know, everybody kind of knew everybody and stuff. And I wasn't the only kid kind of running around in there, but, you know, I think from an early age, I always thought like I could do anything.
Yeah.
And I kind of went wandering and they were trying to look for me and they forgot to look backstage. But then here's me, I pop out in the middle of my dad's set. I found a tambourine. Yeah. And I come out shaking it. And obviously 3 years old, you know, I'm still learning my words. I couldn't really sing. Yeah. And there was a microphone that was left side stage. Yeah. Left, I think. And they had, you know, sound engineer had left it on. Right. So I've grabbed it, so imitating my father, and I've just come on stage and gone, wow, wow, and he's just like, they're like, there she is. My mum's like, oh my God. She's like shaking her head. And my dad just grabs me and he pops me on his lap. And it was so cute because we were actually wearing the same white shiny shoes. And here I am holding, you know, trying to be a diva from back then, you could say, you know. Just, you know, enjoying that kind of, that limelight. And wanting to express myself, I guess, since back then. So that's the earliest memory. Like, music has always been everything to me. Yeah.
What kind of music was your dad playing?
Lots of 60s, 70s rock music.
Oh, cool.
But also he sang in a different language as well. He comes from the land of Greece. So being that I'm half Greek, and so he was mixing up his shows like that. He was, but it was mainly like he played guitar and things like that, and there was a full band behind him. Lots of banging drums and stuff like that. And he was into, the door, like he'd do things like the Doors. He had a huge voice, vocal stylistics, like pretty damn cool for, his time locally in the scene. And he left a pretty cool name behind as well. And so lots of rock and roll. Yeah.
So then you had lots of rock and roll growing up. I think you mentioned that your brother, though, was a big influence musically as well. Is that right?
Sure is. Once again, Mama was pregnant with him and waters broke again in the nightclub. This is like a full true story. I was actually even conceived on a plane.
My God.
My parents were traveling. Yeah, they were young, and full of, wanting to explore each other. And I was actually conceived on a plane. But my mother's waters broke with my brother again while my father was singing. And, obviously my brother and I are only a year apart. So growing up very closely together, we also did a lot of music together from really young because we were sent to different singing and dance schools from like the age of 3. Yeah. I actually went to Young Talent Time.
Oh, cool.
And, Johnny Young Talent, school. Like I saw, I got to meet like Kylie Minogue, Tina Arena, Danny Minogue when they were in their little prime time.
Wow, right.
Did all that. My brother and I both grew up with a lot of music and, influences like Michael Jackson, Madonna, this, that. And then, of course, came hip-hop culture, and stuff like that, getting into our teens, We, my brother, obviously, he was in a few gangs, but nothing too heavy. But it was always more like, again, he was always more about, bringing people together and the love. And that's because that stemmed off from my parents, as well. I remember before, like, he'd go to his gigs, we'd have, like, family gatherings on the weekend. Yeah. And, there would be, like, barbecues happening and this and that, and all the family tree was there. And my father would entertain everybody before he'd leave with my mum or us to go on stage. So I had a great childhood, I have to say. Really lucky, really blessed like that. Like, I don't know any better than like bringing people together and just doing music. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the story, Morning Glory.
Yeah. So was your brother performing hip hop or just ingrained in the culture?
That's a really great question. Yeah. And I hope he hears this podcast. I want to make him hear it because maybe this will give him a little kick. Yeah. My brother is actually, I would say, he's not a hip hop artist out here. He's not on platforms. Yeah. He's probably got a million songs. He is a rapper and an amazing singer, and he's an amazing, intelligent lyricist, a writer. He makes his own beats. He probably has.
He's made one or two for you, has he not?
We've collabed on a lot of stuff, a lot of my tracks. Yeah, he's involved, but he likes to stay completely anonymous.
Oh, okay, interesting.
My brother, he's really great at what he does, and he knows how great he can be, but he's actually he's very introverted and he's very shy. In a way, he can be very shy, which it kind of kills me because if he was to perform, like people would he would just be adored by so many people. But he's really more about like he loves to be locked away in his studio. Yeah. And he just makes music. Like when he's not working, he's making music day and night. Like that's his best friend. That's his lover. Yeah. He hasn't ventured out in the ways that I have, although he's very much in the background. But yeah, he's he's pretty dope. Not because he's my brother, but I'd even say, like, you know, people say to me, wow, like you're doing good in music. You know, I like this, I like that. And then I'm thinking, man, if you only heard my brother, he's like so much better than me. And that's how I feel. Yeah. So
I guess there's always, there's always, you can be the most talented person in the world, and that's really, really great. But there's another part of your personality that needs to connect with that to actually then take it to the world, to build it into something.
100%.
But I really relate to that, wanting to be locked away in the studio.
Yeah,
So,
I think definitely a lot of people can. And there is a big part of me too, like, on the real, like I don't often admit this, but like I've become more comfortable with it now. There was a time in my life where I actually had this, I was torn between, like I love to perform and be networking with like-minded music people.
Yeah.
And then I have this other side to me where it's almost like even though I've grown up in the nightlife, there's a side of me that it's like, I don't want to be in the nightlife as well, if that makes sense. It's just, yeah, it can... there were times like I felt kind of torn, like, you know, because I can be like a real homebody like my brother too and want to be locked away just creating. Yeah. You know, that is a very big side of me. You know, I can spend hours just, you know, working on a beat, you know. That often happens when I've gone away and made my own techno. I can be there for 10 hours. Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. You know, I'm really, it's like therapy for me.
Is there any of your techno available?
Sure is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's I don't talk about it much, but definitely have I've got a lot of it's on Spotify. There's a lot of it is on SoundCloud too. There's some stuff on SoundCloud that's not on Spotify, and obviously through distro it goes onto YouTube.
Under a different name?
No.
Under Ivory Archer.
I just have kept it under Ivory Archer, just kept it simple.
Man, I gotta do my research before I do these episodes.
But you know, it's just you know, I'm not trying to be anything with it. It's just what I love, and I've I produced a lot of my kind of techno, what I call. Yeah. What felt right at the time during our pandemic lockdown. Yeah, right. That's how I spent a lot of my time. You know, I mean, of course, we wanted to be out there, but it kind of suited me fine. You know, because I took that opportunity to just go away and just make beats. Yeah. You know. And being enslaved in that, in sound. Yeah. It was like heaven for me.
Yeah. I mean, hey, there's many people who feel the same, me included, who...
Exactly. You know exactly how that feels.
We can't go to events. I'm really cut up about that. I guess I'll spend every waking moment making beats. Yeah. It's the worst life.
And this is why, here we are out here now, like being out of lockdown. I think there's everybody, you know, that I've been able to network with, you know, before lockdown and all the pandemic and COVID and all that, yada, yada. And then in between lockdown, keeping in contact with like-minded people, which was amazing. Like Vibe Union, shout out to Vibe Union, putting on those live streams and, you know, putting all those, you know, workshops together and stuff online and keeping everything together. That really, you know, that really kept me in music shape, you can call it. And then, you know, kept things creative for us, and we kept working on things individually together. And so coming out of lockdown, I was just like, I know we'll get to more questions because it's not just me that's involved, of course.
The point of this podcast is to talk to you. This is what it's all about. Don't worry about it.
You know, so
I don't have many questions left anyway.
Yeah.
We're rambling.
There's, you know, so many of us that are, I think, hungry in a positive way, in a uniting way, like, let's get out here now, you know. You know, I'm one of those people, like, let's get out here now and let's like perform and be in the physical and, you know, show ourselves as what we're made of as artists, you know, locally. So, yeah, it's nice to be locked away creating, but I think, yeah, there comes a time too, you need to physically express yourself with sound.
But perhaps you need... Well, I guess you need both, and this is actually coming at a very interesting time because I've been working so hard on building Vibe Union over the past 2 years, and it's been basically
you sure have
a 2-year full-time job. And then
master at it.
Lately, thank you so much. And then lately, getting that feeling again of like I gotta
do something for yourself.
I gotta be locked away. I love being locked away. That is where I feel most at home. Is well, physically at home, but also just most comfortable is being locked away and working on something. And I think when you're out there on stage or running events like we both do, there is that. It's a good thing to have, but there is that you put that expectation on yourself. Like I gotta hustle. I gotta work. I gotta make those connections. I gotta do all this.
It's a big hustle.
And you have to maintain it, but it can be very unsustainable. It can be very unsustainable to stay in that place. And I don't think it's necessarily sustainable. I'm sure we've both had an experience. However, the flip side, when you do lock yourself away,
Definitely.
producing or writing or what have you, and that's also a place where you can easily fall into a deep depression because you're locked away. Because we are creative. We are what's the word? Social creatures. We are still human. We are still social
definitely
people. So
you have to keep a balance.
Yeah.
And trying to fine tune that balance can, it can get rusty, but
do you find it easy to flick between the two quite quickly, or do you need long periods locked away and then your period of on stage and then kind of flick between it like that? Or because I mean, in comparison to say spend the morning producing and then go out that night and then repeat that process, I think that's a difficult place to maintain because they're two very different mindsets.
If I'm being really honest, let's not sugarcoat anything here now.
It's not what this podcast is about.
Because I don't want to. We're laying it all out here on the table. I try to keep a lot of things organised. Obviously, you have to with these kind of events and stuff. But for a while now, on answering your question, there's actually no order at the moment. It is honestly so all over the joint.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky I have a very adaptable nature by nature, even though I do love order, but I can cope with chaos as well, which is quite lucky. But I still learn. I still have my frustrating moments of things. But and then it's like, oh damn, I don't have time to do this for me, but I can do it maybe here, but it should have been organised there. Look, that stuff does happen, and I'd say there is no complete, order or process and of how I'm doing things at the moment. I'd like to, but it's still, I don't know, I'm getting it done and it's working out. But I do want to take some time away sometimes and then go back and focus on, music, getting a track or an EP like solidly, done really well. To be able to tell a complete story behind that. And sometimes that is on my mind, like instead of just maybe throwing a track out here and there. But then it's worked out kind of cool. Like you produced a track for me, the remix, the Fendi X Unity Music Freestyle. Yeah. Which obviously came about through spoken word and writing bars and stuff. And, I wrote that based on this whole YoungGods, collective of people and things and how, and obviously some bits and pieces about my life experiences. So, you throw out little things like that, singles or whatever, and it feels good at the time as well because it led up to, there was an event coming up, so I needed something new to bring out. Yeah. But again, like some things I can plan well, and then some things it just sort of happens. Like it's something I have kind of pre-thought of, but I haven't actually planned the time to go away and do it. Yeah. And then come back and maybe go to and then have the event. It's just all happening. Yeah. So that's the honest. Yeah, it's a big mixture of things at the moment. But I do want to kind of start. I have said to myself in the last few weeks, I do want to kind of start scheduling things for myself, and if anybody else wants to be involved in that too, where I can kind of like pull back for a little bit, do some other background planning, or do some proper creative, being creative, and getting some more tracks done, getting some more visuals done, and then coming out with we're putting on a show, and then getting connecting out there again, saying like who wants to do a set, who wants to be involved in this, and get involved, and how it all intertwines, with one another. So it's a big mixture of things at the moment, if I'm being really honest. But it's it's coming together fine.
Yeah.
Just fine. And I'm really happy. Yeah.
I guess it's
Tired but happy.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't relate to anything more. I like setting that pace, and when you've got that pace, when you were just running and you just, as you're going, you figured this out, you figured that out, you just make it work. And I'm sure your diary looks like mine, and it's just
crazy
1 hour blocks just everywhere, just like, oh, I'll do that there, I'll do this here, blah blah blah.
Maybe
and
trap nap, quick disco nap there.
Yeah, and it's intense, but at the same time, it does force a certain type of creativity as well, which I really enjoy. There's when you've got a lot of time, you also procrastinate a lot more.
Exactly.
And when you've only got 1 hour, you're like, I need to write a track this week, or I need to we've got a poetry night tonight. And
that's right, you do too.
I put it like an hour bracket, like I need to write a poem for this night, and it's not like I'm waiting for inspiration to strike.
It's like I've got to get it done.
It's actually a job.
It's a job,
you know. But it still comes from a real place. I think some people get really scared of like scheduling things like that too tightly because it takes the love out of it. But I find because you've already got that pace, you're living so much life, you're doing so many things, you've got it all locked away, it's all ready to go, and it's actually really exciting to be able to teach yourself how to turn it on when the time comes.
Yeah, I call it like it's a sense of urgency. It's like it's urgency now. Let's go. Like you just got to roll with the punches, you know. Yeah. So when you're on, you got to be on and make it all happen.
But still good to take some time for yourself.
Of course.
I think we both need to maybe take note of that.
We need a music holiday.
Yeah. Well, it's winter time's coming up. Oh, we're hitting it now. So I think this is a good time to slow things down a little bit and plan for yet another giant summer. That's my plan.
In saying that, it's funny you said that, because already last night, and this is a great thing. I think, like, you know, a lot of us being out here and, you know, taking our chances, but also still things, you know, plans are happening. And, you know, and people are from everywhere locally, which is amazing, are starting to really notice what's going on. And, you know, the whole intention of this wasn't like, we're out here trying to get attention. It's never like that. We're just out here doing us. But what's happened is it's brought, you know, it's made people pay attention. And it's funny because last night I was thinking, you know, in the middle of doing some, you know, backdrops for YoungGods Winter Fest, you know, different decor going on, which is cool. I get a message, hey, I've got this date available in August. Yeah. Do you want it? Do you think I'm going to say no?
No, of course you don't say no. You take the date. Of course you take the date.
And it's like, I'm like, what day is it? Like, because I haven't had a chance to quickly look in the calendar. I've given, you know, the actual day by number. And then it's like, it's a Friday. I'm like, I'm not giving up on a Friday night.
Yeah, take it.
You know, it's like, that's R&B Friday night. That's hip hop night.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, we'd love to schedule in a music holiday, a bit of, you know, locked away, you know, rest. You need to, rest and then, you know, do it all again.
But
very important.
At the same time, you never know when opportunities are going to come.
And you can't, you know, and I think, you know, we're in a place at the moment where we were locked down for so long. There's a lot of us that are, you know, on that wave of like, I don't want to miss a beat anymore.
Yeah, totally.
You know, I don't, you know, let's live and let's do this and let's like, you know, reawaken what I think the Melbourne music scene kind of lost.
It's coming back.
It's coming back.
Coming back strong. People are keen. People are really hungry and excited.
And it's, I really want to say in this podcast, like from the depths of my soul, because again, like, you know, through this podcast, like some people will get to hear that, you know, music for me, it comes from the womb, man. Like, and it's, you know, what I know. And it's, for me, I thrive on just seeing people like the youth get out there, and new souls come to the scene, and like I just love discovering, and then watching them. Like I don't expect anything. I just if I, you know, some people are continuously thanking me, and it's like I didn't do anything. You know, we just we let ourselves, you know, take those layers down and those boundaries and just have a real chat from, human to human. And, we found out a little bit more about each other, and it's like music is what we have in common. And, I'm just lucky that I know what I know and I could provide that space. The rest you did, because when you're up there on stage, that's completely your time connecting with people. And, so...
Building platforms.
Yeah, I just really, soulfully love seeing people, unfold and, loving their time up there and seeing them make their way into the local industry and, build themselves. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, if you want to see the stages that Ivory builds and you want to see the young talent that populates those stages, then there's only one place to be on June 11th, Saturday, June 11th, and that's YoungGods Winter Festival at Mr Boogie Man Bar. And shameless plug, if you want to catch me, I'll be there. I'll be performing. I got some new shit.
Can't wait to see you perform this new EP. And I do want to add and give a massive shout out. I must mention that, throughout these YoungGods series, it hasn't been me alone at all. Yes, I'm the host and this and that, but at the same time, big shout out to Mikado. Mikado, the head bitch in charge, HBIC. She has been my other hand, my other half in this. We spend a lot of time talking about artists, bringing people together, lineups, and of course, not to mention, her flyers, her graphics are just insane. There's so much work that I'm so grateful to her. I love her so much as well as everybody that's involved and in this local scene that I've crossed paths with. But she's really been a massive. I couldn't have done this without her, and especially this Winterfest too. We really wanted to put together, it's a hardcore lineup, and we really wanted to put together two people that, you're all dropping EPs, which is fantastic, and we really wanted to create a beautiful vibe and just bring the music alive, and here we are. And she's an incredible artist herself, of course, and she's, I think, also I like to think that she's in these shows too. She brings this female energy that there's a lot of that I think no one can bring too.
Power. Power to the stage.
She's a powerhouse. So I'm really grateful to her. And as well, Amutha as well, she's another female energy that I'm so, we spoke about her earlier, but with her music, but also, she's provided us with her amazing VU canvases.
Yep.
And, she's, there's a few of you out there that you're always contacting me, letting me know, do you need anything? Let me know. I have a lot of people helping and stuff like that. She's definitely, Amutha has definitely been a big help. And and DJ Kai, I want to mention. DJ Kai.
Nicest guy.
And our photographers, David Walker, Miss Jess. And I'm actually having a third photographer this time. She goes by the name, her Instagram handle is Taken by Porsche.
Brilliant.
Miss Porsche.
Miss Porsche.
Yeah, so there's lots going on, lots of people involved. And of course, I do want to say a big thank you to you too, Rhath, because, along the way, with you doing, Vibe Union gigs, bringing people together, there's a lot of artists from Vibe Union that have we've combined with YoungGods. They're, the OGs.
Yeah.
I like to call them too, and we're always bringing, new people to the scene, which is a beautiful thing too. But once I'm so rapt to see you come and perform for us finally.
It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge.
I'm actually putting my practice in. I always forget to practice my songs. This time I'm going to be practiced up, ready to go.
Practice makes perfect. It does. It's easier.
Ivory Archer, thank you so much for being on the Vibe Union podcast.
Thank you so much.
Big chats. For those listening, few instructions for you, and these are absolute musts. You must like, you must comment, you must share, you must subscribe, you must do these things. Sharing this does help immensely. But most importantly, hit the link in the description to come down to YoungGods Winter Festival at Mr Boogie Man Bar. It's going to be huge.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye.